Shalom Bracha. Welcome once again to our weekly series of Divrei Torah and Parashat Shabua. This week's Parashat is Parashat Vayetze. Looking at the first pasuk of this week's Parashat, which reads as follows: Vayetze Yaakov mibe'er Shaba vayelech Harana. Rashi is bothered by the fact that the Torah went out of its way to tell us that Yaakov traveled from one city and went to a second city. Rashi is puzzled and says, how come suddenly by Yaakov we care about where he was and then where he's going to? With the other avot, the Torah seems to only tell us their next city or their next stop on their destination and fails to record where they left from. Rashi gives us the answer and says, you know what this teaches us? This teaches us that a town's glory is the tzaddik that lives there. That anytime a tzaddik either lives in a certain town, city, or province, or comes as a visitor, that tzaddik now becomes the glory, the crown jewel, the most important thing that's in that city at that time. And when they leave, the status of the city goes down. Rashi quotes us Vayetze Ruth veNaomi as an example of the Torah going out of its way to tell us when great people leave a town or a city or province, that the status goes down. The Kli Yakar asks a very simple question on Rashi's Perush. Rashi, this is not the first time somebody, especially one of our avot, has left a town and traveled to another town. We know that Avraham together with Sarah and Yitzhak together with Rivka, they also traveled. And yet here is where Rashi tells us that we learn the lesson from that a tzaddik is really the crown jewel and the glory of a town, city, or province. Kli Yakar gives a phenomenal answer and says, when Avraham and Sarah left their town, there was nobody else that was even close to their level left behind. Same thing with Yitzhak and Rivka. But here, Yaakov Avinu, when he's leaving together with his family, there are still other tzaddikim, Avraham and Yitzhak. They are left behind. And yet still, the Torah goes out of its way to say that the town has diminished in level, even if one of the tzaddikim leave. It was pashut, it was simple by Avraham and Yitzhak that the town's status would be lowered. But here the hidush is that even if one righteous person leaves the town, the status is diminished. Rabotai, we learned an amazing lesson from this. That each and every one of us, we may not be tzaddikim, we're not on the level of Avraham, Yitzhak, or Yaakov, but our righteous deeds contribute to the town that we live in. Our level of people actually has a hashpa'ah, has an effect on what goes on in our day-to-day lives. Kol Yisrael arevim zeh lazeh. It's very simple to just say, big deal, I have big rabbis, I have great tzaddikim, they'll protect me. I don't need to follow the Torah and the mitzvot. This is not true. Because every single person on their level, when their level leaves or departs the town, it's affected. And we believe that there are so many righteous people in Am Yisrael, not called rabbi, not called chacham. There are many different ways to worship Hashem. But we need to be committed to that way of life and understand that that way of life has a hashpa'ah, has an effect on all of us, all the town, city, and province, anybody that's being inhabited, it has an effect on us. And it can directly lead to things happening good or has v'shalom the opposite in our lives. Let us strengthen ourselves and make sure that we're living the correct way to make sure that none of our cities ever get diminished in status. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.